I know many Nigerians have their reservations about government, how we manage or mismanage revenue, whether there is fiscal exchange in terms of the benefit to the people of taxes that they pay. Those issues are also part of what we are addressing. Many people know the work we do as because of the tax reform bills, which are now tax reform laws. But actually, it's more than that. So the president gave us 3 broad mandates. One is fiscal governance, then we have tax reforms, and then we have growth facilitation, which is trying to go into the center and the heart of how do you grow the economy for shared prosperity. So all of those moving parts are still ongoing as we speak. So it is work in progress, but this is a moment to take a pause and celebrate the milestone.
At least it's a seemingly sign of small relief, you know, because the work is also in the implementation of it. Okay, I told you earlier on that I'm going somewhere. And this morning, that implementation side is under scrutiny a year later. Like I mentioned, today makes it a year that President Tinubu signed the tax laws, signed the tax acts into law. So we are seeing that Nigeria's organized private sector is voicing its displeasure, warning that's a year later now, warning that contradictory tax transition directives are disrupting compliance, creating regulatory uncertainty, and risking the confidence the reforms were designed to build. So is this simply the growing pains of a bold reform, or does it expose a deeper gap between policy design and policy execution? And that is where I said I was going earlier. So I'll be asking those questions and more as I'm being joined by the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. Of course, that's the umbrella body of the big businesses in the country. He's Adewale Smart Oyeride, as you can see on your screen. But meanwhile, join the conversation across all our social media platforms and subscribe to our channel, YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV, as well as African Independent TV, for this interview and many more insightful conversations. In case you are not able to continue to follow us on terrestrial TV. Like I always say, TV is now on the go. On your phone, you can watch us wherever you are. And if you're not even able to watch at a particular time, you can still go back to the program, Moneyline with Nancy TV on YouTube. So let's move ahead with the news. Let's tell you that Nigeria's solid mineral sector generated 70 billion Naira in revenue in 2025, up from 6 billion Naira in 2023, according to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake. Speaking at the African Natural Resources and Energy Investment Summit in Abuja, he attributed the growth to reforms aimed at driving investment, industrialization, and value addition. The federal government has officially concessioned Akanu Ibiam International Airport Enugu to Aero Alliance Limited under a public-private partnership. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo says the move will modernize airport operations, attract investment, and improve efficiency, while Port Harcourt Airport is expected to follow in the coming weeks. The Central Bank of Nigeria has directed all banks and other financial institutions to immediately freeze the accounts, assets, and transactions of 6 individuals and 4 bureau de change operators linked to alleged terrorism financing. The directive follows an update of the Nigeria sanctions list, with the sanctions taking effect from June 18, 2026. S&P Global has raised Nigeria's average inflation forecast for 2026 to 16.9% from 15%, citing the impact of higher oil prices on domestic energy costs. The agency also cut its GDP growth forecast to 3.7% for 2026 and 3.5% for 2027, warning that rising energy, transportation, and fertilizer costs could fuel further food inflation. Intra-African trade rose by 5.5% to $213.8 billion in 2025, up from $202.7 billion in 2024, according to the Afrexim Bank. The bank says the growth reflects stronger economic activity and deeper regional integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area, with South Africa remaining the largest contributor to trade across the continent. All right, let's take a look at the markets very quickly. Let's show you how the markets are shaping up this morning. If the markets are as cold as human beings are, you know, I always tell you that the markets is a living thing. So we'll begin with the money markets, where attention is now firmly on the Nigerian overnight financing rate, or NOFA. If you listened to the program yesterday, you watched the program, you understand what I am saying now. I had the acting director of the Financial Markets Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria speak to us as to the overnight rates, that's the Nigerian overnight financing rate, the new rates now. So in case you don't understand what it means and you missed Thursday's interview, all you need to do is to go to our YouTube channel and watch it. Very, very insightful, because it will also impact how we borrow from the banks. So we've seen that NOFA has been adopted by the Central Bank of Nigeria as the new benchmark reference rates, replacing the old rates that we had. So we're seeing that the rate held steady at about 22%, signaling stable short-term funding conditions despite a 2% daily trading range overnight. We saw that funding cost edged slightly higher, with the overnight rate at about 22%, while the banking system liquidity improved further as surplus balances expanded to a net long position of 4.14 trillion naira. In the fixed income market, selling pressure continued to dominate. OMO yields climbed to about 21.19%. Treasury bills yields rose to 18.5%, and investors took profits across several tenors. For the bond market, it weakened, pushing average benchmark yields to 17.13%, with the April 2029, May 2033, and February 2034 bonds recording the sharpest moves. In the foreign exchange market, that's talking about the Naira now, it remained largely stable. At the official window, it closed at 1,380 Naira 11 kobo on Thursday to $1 US. The gross external reserves has improved to about $51.21 billion, continuing to provide a strong buffer for the Naira. On the equities market, the bears returned on Thursday. The all-share index declined 0.2% to 200. Where is it now? Is it here? To 233,580.83 points, dragged lower by losses in Transcorp, Owando, UBA. Market capitalization eased to about 149 trillion naira, while both trading volume and value declined, reflecting more cautious investor participation. Red Star Express, Legend Internet, Nemeth led the gainers for Thursday. Aradel, Deep Capital topped the losers chart. Now let's move to other markets across the globe. And investors globally are adopting a risk-off stance as a broad technology sell-off rippled through the United States, Europe, as well as Asia, on growing concerns over the rising cost of artificial intelligence infrastructure. We also saw that oil prices extended its decline this morning as geopolitical tensions in the Middle East continue to ease, while gold prices pushed higher as softer U.S. inflation data raised expectations that the Fed may have more room to pause further on policy tightening. So that's the markets this morning with what you can see on your screen. Let's take it up a notch so that for those of you seeing this on the screen, this is just a summary of what I've just said in about a minute, 30 seconds or so. So for the money markets there, the rates, fixed income, foreign exchange, like I told you earlier on, the Naira at about 1,380 to $1 US. We're seeing external reserves at $51 billion. Gold is gaining on U.S. inflation data. So we're seeing U.S. futures this morning a bit mixed. Brent crude dropping, but still in the $70 US band. WTI nudges closer to Brent crude. Not almost the same price parity as it were, but you will see just a few dollars lagging from a Brent crude price. Spot gold at $4,029 US. If you watched the show yesterday, I told you that gold price was around 3,900, and now 3,900-ish US dollars. So that's it for the markets. Let's see how the markets will trade today. Today is the last trading day of the week. Don't forget that the market trading has started already. Just a few weeks ago, the NGX, that's the Nigerian Exchange, transited to T+1 settlements, and now we're also seeing trade open at 9 and closing at 4, unlike 2 p.m. to 2:30 Nigerian time, which you had. So it gives us more time, or gives, of course, the stakeholders more time to interact with traders, and also gives you more time to make those purchases, to call your stockbrokers to buy whatever stocks you want for you. All right, let's take a break, and when we return, it will be time for us to move into our conversation. I told you that it's exactly 1 year today that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed the new tax laws. Yes, so we have tax laws. But if you watch the show on, what day was that again? Was it on Wednesday or Tuesday? Anyway, this week, I did talk about the transition, that the tax transition, because there was a framework, a guideline that was released by Taiwo Oyedele himself, talking about the tax transition guidelines. I mentioned earlier on, organized private sector is having issues with implementation now. Anyway, let me just take a break, because like I said last year, in that interview I had with Taiwo Oyedele, which you watched earlier on, I talked about implementation is where the cocoa is. So we'll talk about that when we return from the break. Do stay.
In today's global economy, information is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What is the need for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata-wise, revenue strata-wise for companies. What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs as a people and as a country.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy now airs 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Weekdays, live on AIT and online. If it matters to the economy, join us.
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and
I did.
Okay. Was that a bit of justice to what the NOFR
Yes.
is, or what it's supposed to, or what people like us are supposed to be looking at, and what it should achieve?
You got it pretty well, Nancy.
Okay.
The Nigerian overnight financing rate is our new benchmark overnight rate. We launched it on the 1st of June, but we actually started calculating it and publishing it in April. It's supposed to replace what we had before, the OPR. We had the open repo rate.
Yeah, open repo rate. So nothing like
you also
open
called
repo.
the OBB.
OBB,
OBB
yes.
was renamed OPR.
OPR.
And then the OPR remains. We continue to publish it. If you go to the CBN website, you see the OPR, because there are several transactions that were made with it, and some people still use it. But we thought to replace it with the NOFA. The NOFA is a transaction-based rate, unlike the OPR that was contributed. Contributed means that the administrator of that rate would ask banks, how much would you lend out X amount of money?
I don't know if you listened to my intro, and Moneyline with Nancy, and this is a program that sets your business day for you.
Inflation played a 9-1 on us, and the cost of doing business and the cost of living crisis persists. But we can win. We can win on those two things.
We need to work on our infrastructure, maintain what we have, and add new infrastructure. Isn't it interesting to you that it still costs less to ship something from China to Lagos than from Dakar to Nigeria?
Resilience is not only bouncing back when there is crisis or shocks. Resilience is about the ability to adapt, the ability to innovate, the ability to thrive in a VUCA world, which is basically a world that we have a lot of vulnerabilities, a world that we have a lot of uncertainty.
Thank you, Nancy. You've been doing a great job in trying to educate Nigerians, and we must appreciate you for that.
Everybody tells me you're the gold standard in this business, yeah.
Well, Nancy Naji, for the best you can be, and good at change. All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is with me right here, Adewale Smart Oyeride, who is the Director General of NECA, Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. At the beginning of the program, I told you, it's the umbrella body of the country's largest businesses. So welcome to you, Mr. Oyeride. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
What a day to be here, 1 year later.
Absolutely. How time flies.
How time flies. It's exactly, let me start saying it again. It's exactly 1 year today that President Tinubu signed the tax act that we now have as laws, 4 tax laws, and I explained that earlier. So today, 1 year later, we're also trying to look at the implementation. Like they say, the devil is in the details. That's a picture of what we saw June 26th, 2025. And it's June 26th, 2026 today. Okay, so you were saying earlier that I had to go and dig out my conversation with Taiwo Edele because I made it clear to him that it was all about implementation. And you know how time flies and how quickly things change. Within this year, within 1 year that I spoke to him then and now, he's now become the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy. So the tax laws, the tax reforms that he wrote with his committee, he's now the one spearheading the implementation. So anything can happen in the world. Don't lose hope, guys. Anything can happen. You know, so what do you have when I mean you?
Yeah.
Okay, no. How has implementation been for private sector businesses since President Tinubu signed those laws?
Well, thank you once again for having us. And it's 1 year anniversary, and we must commend commend, yes, if commend is the appropriate word, the President and Commander-in-Chief for that bold step of championing the tax reforms, and also commend everybody that played one role or the other, including the private sector. We are one of the biggest champion of the need for the review of the tax law. So we commend the President for that very important reform. He started years ago that led to the signing of the act also in 2025, as it were. And the chairman of the committee also, who eventually became the Minister for State Finance, and now the Honorable Minister and Coordinator Minister of the Economy. It was a journey with a very rough path as per the tax reform itself, because arguably you can say it's one of those reforms that has witnessed the biggest kind of engagement, consultation across board, and the controversy generated. And eventually when the President signed, I think it was something to commend. Now, as you rightly said, we are aware that there's the part of crafting reform itself. The part of stakeholder engagement, which was acrimonious in the context of different interests, then it passes to the president appends the signature, become an act. We all knew that, look, the next phase will be implementation, as you said. And implementation will not come easy. But so far, so good. Engagement have continued to go on, both at the NRS level, the committee level, and then the ministers level. And our role, basically, as organized private sector, is to continue to draw the attention of those that are in charge to areas that we think needs clarity, areas that we think needs legal certainty, areas that we think there's absolute need for fairness in interpretation and application, and draw their attention to those areas. And that is what we're committed to do from the beginning, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Okay. You have a problem, when I say you have businesses in Nigeria, you have a problem with implementation, isn't it? Because I've seen the different correspondences by the different private business associations, NASME, MAN, NASIMA, then you yourself, I think about 4.
5 of us.
Yes, five associations. I've had the opportunity to speak with MAN DG, but not even on this. But let's hope that even in coming days, I will have to look at, yes, all of you in different, your different grievances, because even though you're businesses, they also have their peculiar things they are dealing with. So you are describing the situation as a paralysis of corporate tax filings. How widespread is this problem, and what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Because the tax laws are supposed to take effect from January 1, 2026 to 2026. But for businesses, when they are filing their tax documentation, yes, which will be for we'll file in 2027. That is from 2027, rather. This law will take effect. That is anything your CIT. You understand what I'm trying to explain?
I think it's
for our viewers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And first, let me say this: that the position we canvassed, or the observation we raised, because it's basically the observation of all of us, MAN, NASIMA, NASME, that's small and medium scale, NASI, Alton, Association of Licensed Telecom Operators, FOSI, Federation of Construction Industry, over 35 employer federations. So it was the position we canvassed, and the attention we drew. We called what we called the attention of the NRS and the Minister of Finance to is a general issue, and for us it's a simple analogy. Businesses that were done in 2025. We believe strongly that the Act of 2025 takes care of the filing of it. Businesses that you will do in 2026, because the Act itself, the Nigerian Tax Act itself, came to effect on the 1st of January 2026. And it's our strong belief that the Act should not take effect retroactively. And that's the singular observation that we drew the attention of the NRS chairman to, that look, we feel strongly that the implementation should not capture the taxes of 2025. It shouldn't act retroactively. And there are cases, there are authorities to back that out. And that is exactly what we've done. And the engagement was back and forth. They felt otherwise. We felt differently. We canvassed our position. They canvassed their position. So there was need for clarity, which is quite important. And so that we don't also sabotage the process that we all committed time and resources to. We felt there is need for clarity, there is need for fairness, and especially legal certainty for taxpayers. And that was where the issue really arose. The frustration that businesses face is because filing is supposed to end, deadline for filing is on the 30th of June. So that clarity becomes...
The deadline for filing of
for
what?
filing for the 2025...
we need to be clear.
It's 30th of June.
June of this year.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and the platform where this business is supposed to do their filing was configured or had been configured to reflect the payment using the 2026 Tax Act. So if you go to the platform, you can file based on the 2025, based on the Repeal Act, which is the platform ordinarily you should pay. So you get there and you are just constrained.
I'm filing for 2026.
Pay in the context of 2026.
And it was business done in 2025.
2025. So we felt, look, that shouldn't be, because it puts those businesses in a precarious situation. And for those that have reputational issues also, especially those that have business out of this country, it becomes a very serious context. So when the guideline came out, we have waited for it. And when the guideline came out by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, in line with Section 144 of the Tax Act itself, and we saw that general transitional guideline, we felt the matter is now solved. And we did a letter to the chairman of the NRS, appreciating him for his proactiveness and the support. We did a letter to the chairman, to the Honorable Minister also, appreciating him for the timely guideline. In fact, we did an advertorial also in the newspaper, appreciating them for that clarity that we all need. And a day or two later, the NRS continued to send notices to
because
businesses.
I was wondering that you're appreciating NRS chairman for what exactly?
No, for the proactiveness. It also takes...
of doing what? But yet the problem is still there.
Now, that was when the minister came up with the guidelines, and we felt, okay, there is synergy. There was synergy. Now we've created that synergy. Because we also know, rightly or wrongly, that implementation, we have issues. So there's a need for a very high coordination at all levels, from the level of the private sector, because we are the one that will bear the brunt of those provisions. So we need to be active enough and proactive also enough to escalate those issues that we must have noticed in the Act, escalate to the necessary authorities. And that was what we have done. So when the NRS notice started going to member companies again, they say, look, notwithstanding the general traditional guideline that was issued, that businesses should still file.
So whether the NRS chair has not seen you people's commendation or appreciation letter?
Well, maybe the bureaucracy of the bureaucracy of the office has not allowed the letter to get to his table. Now, that's basically the concern that we have.
Okay, where I'm going to really is that must the private sector be at the beck and call of the authorities of the government? Because it also seems as if you guys, talking about large businesses, are coming cap in hand, not really cap in hand, but like trying to romance and trying to make the authority, that is, try to pamper the authority. Is that how it looks? You guys are big businesses. You employ people even more than the government itself. You pay salaries. You do all the stuff. So they should be the ones even chasing you.
Absolutely.
So you come in and be begging them, and they should be the ones doing their job.
Government come up with laws, with regulations, with policies. And sometimes, and what we've noticed in this climb, not only in Nigeria, in Africa generally, because from my experience with other business membership organizations across Africa, we don't view businesses as the engine of national development. It has been said, and rightly so, that for every 10 jobs created, businesses create 8 of it. And this morning, I was listening to a conversation that Femi Falana had, Barrister son Femi Falana had, and he was saying, look, the real issue of insecurity is not the solution, is not the absolute
creation of state police.
It's not creating state police is not the absolute solution. It's one of them.
But it's not the total.
It's not the total.
Yes.
But that you must deal with the issue of unemployment. And if we are not viewing that sector, that ecosystem that can provide employment, if we cannot treat them with the kind of respect that we should treat them with, then where will the jobs come from? So we'll complain about the effect while we are feeding the cause. So we have escalated. We have also did an open letter to the president that all what the private sector needs is an hospitable environment that can enable us to fulfill our role as the engine of national development. An environment that can enable the private sector to create jobs, to pay its taxes legitimately, clearly, with legal certainty, and that can help us to contribute maximally to the renewal agenda of this administration. That is the simple the simple request that we're making to the federal government.
So as at this time, there's still ambiguity
There's still,
as to implementation.
Well, we are still waiting for clarity. The platform of the NRS is still, except if it has changed. This morning,
now that we're speaking.
Only that, but businesses are under an enormous pressure of the 30th of June. And we've also written to the NRS and also made appeal. Because at the point when you realize that the pinch or the burden is getting too much on you, the best you can do is just to appeal to the person that is putting the burden on you, that say, please reduce this burden. We've also appealed to the NRS that please, let's give an extension from that 30th of June. Instead of 30th of June, let's give a 1-month extension. Maybe that will allow us to harmonize all the positions, get clarity, and enable businesses to contribute their quota to national development. These are simple requests that we have made, and they are not burdensome, and we don't think those requests will fundamentally impact the tax revenue generation target of the NRS. Alternatively, I think it will enhance the collection potential and ease of collection of the NRS.
Okay. I mentioned earlier on in the program that I had an interview either Tuesday or Wednesday this week on this tax transition guidelines, because I also saw it from Taiwo Oyedele, and I called him a professional now on the other side, not a business. Of course, he's a tax practitioner, so he's a businessman because that's his business. But on the part of the stakeholders, that's the tax consultant and co. And just take a listen to what he said about that tax guidelines too.
The transactions that are supposed to take place in terms of new law is supposed to be one starting from 1st of January 2026, not a retroactive application. We knew that the Nigeria Revenue Service got it wrong, ab initio. We even sent a team of tax practitioners led by the chairman of the tax practitioners to them. And we met with them to say, you are getting this thing wrong. We know the reason why, so because the Gazette made it clear that this new act commenced from 1st January 2026. Remember that the president signed the act toward the ending of June. So even before the president signed the act, many companies and individuals had transaction for 6 months in 2025. And we have a tax policy that says that once there's a new law, you have to give taxpayers, tax consultants, 3 good months, 90 days to understand the law before implementation. A minimum of 3 months. That's 90 days. And the maximum can be 6 months, can be 1 year, depending on what government. So the intention of government is to make sure this act is signed mid-year and give people 6 good months to study the act so that the full implementation will start from January 2026. But unfortunately, the Nigeria Revenue Service, I don't know what they were thinking. They were saying, no, they have to do retroactive application. Even the time we went to them, they were even doing retroactive application on penalties. They were applying the new penalties on old transactions. They would say, no, you can't do that. And they quickly reversed that one. That one was quickly reversed.
They were not supposed to apply.
They were not supposed to apply because the new penalties are supposed to apply on the new transactions. Not on the old transactions. So that's what we're telling them. We got it wrong. But they say, no, they have consulted widely. They have this. I say it's wrong. And that is exactly where we find ourselves now.
Okay, so where do we go from here? Where do we go to? Because I also know that the attention, NECA has brought the attention to the president. Yeah. We've written directly to the president.
The OPS
the organized private sector in Nigeria, rather than to continue engagement with the relevant authorities. Is it that the relevant authorities are not listening?
Well,
with all engagement, did you engage fully?
We did. We engaged fully. We engaged constructively. The private sector is not antagonistic. As I said, we invested in these reforms, in these tax reforms. We invested maximally. In fact, the private sector was also represented in the committee. So our plea is this, as you said, that we shouldn't plea, but rather...
People are not supposed to be begging.
But we rather appeal.
Someone giving you money.
Because...
you should be cutting me.
A lot is at stake. The integrity of the tax reform itself is at stake. Experts have made submissions. All of us can't be wrong. Experts have made submissions. Business membership organizations have made submissions. The international community is watching what is going to happen. These principles are global principles. They are not principles that are just contracted for any particular purpose. Businesses desire to continue to contribute. We want to create more jobs. We want to be much more responsible in the context of paying our taxes. But government itself must play its role by providing that clarity. And the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy has provided that clarity. Why the platform of the NRS has not responded to that platform, that clarion call, that guideline is what still baffles us.
Because, okay.
And 30th is just around the corner, and everybody is just apprehensive. The confusion is palpable in the private sector, and we just want this clarity, basically, just the simple clarity. That's what we require.
I'm also wondering who should have the final word on this tax implementation. The Finance Minister, Taiwo Oyedele, has brought up this tax. Was that tax transition guideline, was it explanatory enough when you read it?
It was simple, clear, unambiguous,
that this filing should go back prior, because I read it.
Absolutely. It was clear, and in line with Section 144, if I'm not mistaken, of the Tax Act itself. It was clear, unambiguous, simple, and direct. And that was the reason why we went to press to commend the prompt release. But we believe strongly that conversation is going on. We've engaged constructively, and we want to believe that hopefully before the end of today, if I'm not too ambitious with my optimism, before the end of today, we'll get that clarity that we so much desire.
Because June 30 is just a few days' time, which is...
Absolutely.
Because I'm wondering who the final word should rest with. Is it Taiwo Oyedele? Is it
strongly,
NRS? Because Taiwo Oyedele oversees NRS.
NRS, absolutely.
Or is it now the presidency that you've now gone to meet as a last resort?
Absolutely. Whatever happens...
And is the president that sent Taiwo Oyedele?
Whatever happens, as you mentioned rightly so, there will always be implementation issues, challenges. Let's assume, rightly so, that this is one of those challenges that we are going to surmount as we approach the full implementation of the DAS.
Are there other areas of implementation that you think would, are there other hurdles that you think will come up out of this as we go along? Implementation hurdles, apart from this that has come up?
It's like a bunch of onions. The Tax Act is quite large.
Yes,
so as you approach every major milestone, you discover something. And our commitment, and this is the commitment we made even before the Tax Act was signed, that look, we'll be the conscience of the act. The private sector will be the conscience of that, because it affects the private sector more. So we'll be the conscience of the act. At any point in time we realize there's going to be implementation challenges, we will escalate constructively. Before we went to press, there had been a lot of back-end engagement with the NRS. We've written letters, we've had conversations, we've had stakeholders have met, stakeholders have made representation. So before the issue came up to the public glare of advertorials, there's quite a lot of engagement that has gone into play. And that is the model that private sector as we continue to have. We are not adversarial, we are not attacking the tax law, but we felt that, look, clarity and urgent clarity and legal certainty also should be provided in the context of moving forward in these laws.
If we look at it also critically, let me play the devil's advocate here. I don't want to say there's nothing legal about this because Taiwo Oyedele succinctly put it. But do you think perhaps it's a technology problem that NRS has not updated, or a governance challenge?
It's possible. It's possible. We're not overruling anything. But
and the younger officers would not want to, because the younger NRS people are the ones dealing with it, not Zak Adedeji himself. So they want to hear, let Oga until Oga at the top speaks as a where or says do this, then they do that. So they always come into the offices of private sector to say, this is what it is now. They never update them as a where. Do you understand? So you do the what is there.
You know, the consequences for us is massive. You know? We might win on one side and then lose maximally on another side, because the NRS can go ahead and forcefully, because it's becoming a force now, or blackmail the private sector to pay. But you will have damaged the integrity of that system, because there's no legal certainty. You know, everybody is watching, the world is watching what is going to happen within the context of this. And our view is that, look, we should not create unintended consequences for a system that we all fought to defend. I can imagine how the private sector fought to defend. You know, the private sector did over 20 knowledge sharing sessions. It wasn't funded by anybody. Knowledge sharing sessions, taking different stakeholders in the private sector through the tax reforms, so that we get alignment of critical stakeholders in the private sector that we must support this act. And if we have committed that much to this act and it was signed by the president, we feel the least that we require is those legal certainty and clarity as we approach every order in the implementation of the act.
You know, organized private sector has argued that government itself is losing revenue as a result of this non-migration. But how does a compliance bottleneck now translate into lower tax collection? Because if the NRS is saying that, guys, just pay, do what you're supposed to do in 2025, and 2025 have all those, taking for example, all those taxes, PT, Petroleum Trust Fund, Naseni, all those. But for 2026, it's been harmonized to a development levy of 4%. Yeah. So perhaps, are you understanding what I'm going to? So government is supposed to make more money because now you're paying more taxes.
Absolutely.
But unlike the harmonized, where in 2027, when you are filing for 2026, it now becomes 4%.
You know, the dynamics, you know, the dynamics of this conversation of paying the 2025 accruals using the 2026 law. The dynamic is something beyond the studio, you know. So we felt government.
But it's actually a serious
government might make revenue, but we will have lost fundamentally. You know, the fundamental
of the law itself.
Of the law itself. You know, the premise of the law itself, which is the integrity of it. We will have done a bit of damage to it if the taxpayers cannot trust the system that they believe should give them the kind of opportunities that the Tax Act provides for businesses. So it raises further question that if this is not cleared, which other area will the NRS insist that it will go its way? Because I listened to the tax consultants, the experts in this business. He shared his perspective and the engagement that they've also had. And all of us, you know, cannot be wrong. There must be some sense in what we are saying, and I think that's the premise that we think the authorities should take a critical look.
And it's really troubling when government agencies appear to be issuing conflicting interpretations on the same law, as well as it also exposes some kind of weakness in coordination amongst agencies responsible for implementing reforms. I don't want to run to that conclusion yet, but perhaps even organized private sector has run to that conclusion in the sense that now you're talking directly to the president, come save us. Because if you've engaged the NRS, the revenue people, and Taiwo Edele has also brought out the tax transition guidelines, and nobody's saying anything. And just a few days down the line now, companies will be filing their taxes for June 30th. So I'm just wondering how that works, and if there's a way that these conflicts can be resolved, if there could be like a formal mechanism. I don't want to, would President Tinubu now come out and say it himself? He would not.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the element of confidence we have, one of the rays of hope we have is, unlike before, in the past, many years ago, these operators and reform champions of this administration they've shown massive and commendable capacity to listen and collaborate. We have it across board with PEBEC, Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, with the Ministry of Interior, with immigration, across board where reforms are going on. A critical element that we've seen is the depth of engagement across board with the private sector. So we believe strongly that this will not be an exception, that the same trajectory of engagement and collaboration that we've seen will also play out in this system. We believe strongly that engagement is going on at the topmost level, and that the clarity that we seek will also come out in the shortest possible time. As I said, hopefully before the end of today. I said, if I'm not too ambitious with my
Are you getting inklings that things are going to be better? Are you getting word?
I wish, but we can leverage on the patterns. Sometimes pattern is a good judge of what will happen. I said, the engagement at different levels during this reform, the different kind of reforms that we have seen across board with aviation, immigration, customs, the ports. The level of engagement and collaboration with the private sector has been huge, quite unprecedented in any administration. So we just believe strongly also that this also will be part of, we added to those milestones, those positive engagement trajectories that we've seen in recent times.
Which categories of businesses are feeling the greatest pressure? Is it the large corporates? Is it the SMEs? Is it the multinationals? Because also in 2020, the large corporates.
The large corporates, and because the value chain, because the large corporates probably have the small ones as playing in the supply chain. So whatever happens to one happens to all. And the same thing in the context of job creation. Sometimes we don't understand, we don't paint the nexus that if a company that is employing 1,000, if it cuts down its capacity utilization by 30%, that means the input that it will receive from the small businesses will also likely cut down by 30%. So a job loss from one company will naturally translate to losses from every other player that is in the value chain of that business supply. So it's a challenge that we have in our hands, and as I said, that we believe strongly that it will be resolved in the shortest possible time for the sake of this country.
This is a serious problem because even big companies, of course, every company that needs to do its tax matters, including that communications itself. So, yeah, exactly now. So we need to also be clear on these things. But have companies started making perhaps additional tax provisions because they simply do not know which rules apply now? So if you're like, I'm wondering if you are the the CFO of a company, or you're in charge of the accounts, you don't have clarity. Okay, what do we do? You understand what
It's a worst case scenario situation. You just, okay, what's the worst case scenario? And that worst case scenario might not benefit you. And at the same time, as you're thinking of the worst case scenario, you're also looking at who bears the brunt. Because every additional tax, somebody bears the consequences. It either goes to increased cost of services or increased cost of goods, because it becomes another form of overhead. And if the cost of goods and services continue to go up, inflation continues to go up, then the consumer, whose disposable income is also suffering, will also bear the brunt. So it's a rigmarole, and that's why we felt the tax reform was a massive break for the private sector, because it gives massive opportunities for businesses to stabilize, to grow, to create jobs, create revenue, and government also make a maximum benefit in the context of income and revenue that will come to it.
Okay, as we close, just in a few seconds, has this episode weakened trust between government and private businesses?
First, it has strengthened the camaraderie between the private businesses and between the organized private sector. And we're just hoping that government will maximize this opportunity to also strengthen its collaboration with the private sector in the context of resolving these issues. It should be a big plus for government. And maybe if it's resolved quickly, maybe you see many more advertorials just commending government for
one here. I'm tasking you on that.
for helping us to provide this clarity.
Yeah. I will task you on that. All right. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Exactly 1 year ago that President...
1 year, absolutely.
Yes. Of course, trust us on the program to follow the money, follow anything concerning finance, economy, and business. In case you may have forgotten, 1 year ago, the tax laws were signed. All right, I've been speaking with Adewale Smart-Oyeride, who is the DG of NECA, and we'll be speaking about implementation hurdles 1 year after the tax laws. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for joining us as always. I will see you all again, God willing, on Monday. Another topic, another guest, God willing. Be the best you can be the change you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye for now.
Jufo runs her multiple e-commerce businesses in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Her business is known as drop shipping, a business model where products are sold online without the need for a so-called brick-and-mortar facility where those products are stored and processed. It involves the management of e-commerce inventory and affiliate marketing, where she promotes online products for other businesses. Ajufo started her online business in 2022 with less than $50.
Okay, let's say I started with 50,000 naira. So today, I can tell you the percentage has increased to over 150% of income coming in from the business.
Ajufo's success story has its roots in access to the internet, a good phone, social media, and spending around $6 a month on a data subscription.
When it comes to showcasing my business online, internet access has done most of it, 80% of it. Without the internet, we won't be able to do any of those things.
And for many, like Ajufo, the internet means more income and opportunity. A January 2024 World Bank report discloses that Sub-Saharan Africa recorded a 115% increase in internet users between 2016 and 2021. This, the bank said, also reduced extreme poverty by 7% in Nigeria, fostering economic growth and innovation.
Opportunities abound in terms of the benefit for e-commerce, benefit for e-health, benefit for e-government, and as well as in terms of basic commercial transactions.
Despite the gains, the World Bank says women in Sub-Saharan Africa have less access to the internet compared to men. The report also says women are 37% less likely to use mobile internet services than men, and that women in rural communities are affected most by the lack of digital access.
Once they cannot have, one's means of, accessing the internet or data becomes much out of their reach, they become deprived. In fact, they become deprived educationally, they become deprived in terms of skills, and once all of these things, they become deprived in terms of having access to basic information about markets, about services, about even how to improve them. And once that is done, because then they become left behind.
Rural women in Sub-Saharan Africa earn about 77% less than men, while urban women earn 46% less, according to data from the U.S. National Library of Medicine.
Quite a number of women, particularly in rural Nigeria, cannot afford the cost of basic smartphone. of future phone.
The Nigerian Communications Commission says it has launched projects to close the country's gender digital gap. Among them are the Digital Skills for Women and Girls Initiative, Nigerian Girls Can Code, and Women in ICT. Experts say there is a need to double these efforts. They suggest the government ramps up grassroots access to internet-enabled devices at affordable rates to get more women on board. For Gibson and Mika in Abuja, Nigeria, Mary Alice Salinas, VOA News.
Good day wherever you're watching. It's another time, another day, another episode of your security program, The Defenders, coming to you from the stable of the Defenders TV of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. And the program is aimed at highlighting the achievements of the Corps under the leadership of our Commandant General, Professor Ahmed Abubakar Howdy, MNI OFR. The precondition to freedom is security. And on the program, we'll be giving you security talk, security tips, security enlightenment, and every other security-related issue. I am Babawali Afolabi.
Join us for The Defenders, the show that highlights the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in action, protecting the heart of Nigeria's progress. From safeguarding critical infrastructure to securing our national resources, the NSCDC plays a vital role in securing the future of Nigeria. With the mining marshals leading the fight against illegal mining, the Corps ensures that our natural resources are protected from exploitation, preserving them for future generations. The Commandant General Special Intelligence Squad is on the front line, fighting to stop illegal bunkering and the theft of our nation's oil resources, protecting our economy and sovereignty. And the female squad is dedicated to protecting our schools, keeping our children safe from the threat of banditry, rape, and other criminal activities. Every day, the men and women of the NSCDC are working tirelessly to safeguard our communities, protect our nation's resources, and support sustainable development. The Defenders, ensuring a safer, stronger, and more prosperous Nigeria for all.
The federal government has strengthened the efforts against illegal mining by procuring 8 gun trucks for the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC mining marshals. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, said the move is part of efforts to intensify the fight against illegal mining across the country. It disclosed that over 300 illegal miners have been arrested and more than 150 prosecuted since the unit was established.
This is to assure the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the mother agency of the mine marshals, that we shall continue at ministerial level to ensure that we put all necessary things in place to smoothen your operations and to assure you of our support, both materially, psychologically, politically, and economically, for you to succeed. What we are commissioning here today are the 8 gun trucks. That's a snippet of it. That is just the beginning of it. We have greater plans.
Representative of the Interior Minister, Major General Abdulmalik Jibirin, retired, praised the collaboration between ministries in protecting Nigeria's mineral resources. Mining Marshals Commander, Assistant Commandant John Atta Onoja, said the unit remains committed to sustaining operations and urged continued interagency support.
We have this great privilege and opportunity to have wonderfully well-designed standard gun trucks for mining marshal operation. to further strengthen our activities and performance across the nation. We can only say we are grateful to Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps leadership, headed by the Commander General of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the entire management team, whose commitment and support made it possible for Mining Marshal to bear the name they are bearing today. The Minister of Solid Mineral Development, you have done creditably well for us by all forms of support that we have gotten, especially necessary logistics that will take our activities from our immediate environment towards every nook and crannies of this country.
The federal government says the initiative will help boost national revenue and reduce illegal exploitation of solid minerals.
The men of the mining marshals have been doing a tremendous work of sending the right signal to the mining sector in Nigeria. Illegal mining operations are no longer condoned, as was the situation before the advent of this government. My name is Dele Alake, and I'm the Minister of Solid Mineral Development. Keep watching The Defender by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. It's the best.
Under President,
the development of this country.
Nigerians expressed concern over the infiltration of suspected foreigners as part of the reason for rising insecurity in the country. Officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Ogun State have intercepted 2 buses conveying 19 foreign nationals at Idona community. The commandant of the corps in the state, Remile Kwekodayo, while parading the suspects in Abeokuta, said the corps received a distress call from community leaders around 8:25 p.m. about 2 buses conveying unknown persons into the community. She stated that preliminary findings show the group are 19 Ghanaians national, comprising 12 men and 7 women.
Regarding the suspicious movement of 2 buses conveying unknown individuals into the area. According to information received, the buses had arrived in the community at about 8 p.m. and attracted attention when disagreement reportedly arose between the occupants and the drivers. The situation prompted concerned community leaders to make inquiries, during which it was observed that the occupants were foreign nationals.
The commandant added that one of the suspects, a 28-year-old Divine Kweku, confirmed that they relocated to the area to market a product and that a local agent arranged a 3-bedroom apartment for them,
requiring further investigation. These include the circumstances surrounding the group's relocation, the choice of destination, the mode of transportation, and other observations made during the screening process. Consequently, the command considers it necessary to thoroughly verify the identities, immigration status, purpose of relocation, and other relevant circumstances surrounding their movement into Ogun State.
She commended the residents for alerting authorities instead of taking the law into their own hands and urged them to maintain vigilance across the state.
Every nation has a turning point, a moment when ordinary people rise to extraordinary purpose, not because they were asked to, but because they had to. For Nigeria, that moment came in the heat of conflict, when our unity was shaken and our people stood exposed.
The year was 1967. The Civil War has just begun, but even in the darkness, light emerged. From the rubble and fears, a group of brave Nigerians chose not to run. They chose to protect. No ranks, no rifle, only courage and convictions that every life matters. That was the beginning of what would become the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC.
From those humble efforts in Lagos, a volunteer force took shape, guiding citizens through sirens, shelter, and survival. By the 1970s, the movement gained structure, becoming the Lagos Civil Defense Committee, educating the public on emergency response and civil protection.
In 1984, it became the National Civil Defense Organization under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, now Ministry of Interior, playing vital role in disaster response, civil education, voluntary safety campaign across Nigeria. Still informal, still underfunded, but deeply respected.
In 2003, the National Assembly passed the NSCDC Act No. 2, legally establishing the Corps as a paramilitary institution empowered to protect lives, properties, and national infrastructures. The Act was later amended in 2007, further strengthening the Corps with authority to bear arms, make arrests, with or without warrants, and collaborate with other security agencies.
From volunteers to professionals, from whispers of hope to a structured civic shield, a corps born from crisis, now standing for peace. Under the pragmatic leadership of Professor Ahmed Abubakar Audi, MNI, OFR, the first professor to serve as the Commandant General, NSCDC entered a new era. Stronger training, smarter operations, and deeper community engagement. Across Nigeria, we now operate with discipline and direction through the elite formations like Agro Rangers, Safe School Initiative, Disaster Management, Anti-Vandalism, Female Squad, Mining Marshals, and Special Intelligence Squad, all serving with civility, compassion, and courage.
Beyond our borders, NSCDC is a proud member of the International Civil Defense Organization, ICDO, with its global headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. A corps connected to global standards, yet firmly rooted in Nigerian soil.
From the ashes of 1967 to the strength of today, our journey has been shaped by sacrifice, guided by service, and anchored in trust. We are not just a corps in uniform, we are your neighbors, your defenders, your bridge between peace and panic. We are the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, defending the defenseless.
In its proactive efforts to combat crime, Ondo State Command of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC), under the leadership of Commandant Oluyemi Ibiloye, has arrested 7 suspects for illegal blasting activities involving explosives in Akure. Acting on credible intelligence, operatives of the command's Mines and Steel Unit, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Mines, aided by Engineer Mayowa Moshibi, on Thursday arrested the suspects at the Akpobo area along the Ilesha-Akure-Owo Expressway, Akure. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspects, all male, were engaged in illegal blasting operations using explosives without the necessary authorization and permits, contrary to the relevant mining and explosives laws. The suspects, all residents of Akure, was indigenous of different states. The press release issued by the command spokesperson said that the operation further underscores the strong and effective collaboration between the command and relevant stakeholders in the mining sector within the state. The synergy has significantly enhanced intelligence sharing and enabled rapid intervention in critical situations. He maintained that NSCDC Ondo State Command remains committed to safeguarding lives and properties, and we will continue to collaborate with sister security agencies to combat illegal mining, unlawful blasting activities, and related crimes.
In a renewed effort to combat economic sabotage and protect farmers from peg agricultural products, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Zamfara State Command, has arrested a 33-year-old suspect, Mustafa Sani, for alleged involvement in the production and distribution of adulterated fertilizer. The public relations officer of the command, Mansur Muhammad Umar, explained that the suspect was arrested in possession of the suspected counterfeit fertilizer bags already loaded for distribution to retailers and farmers across the state.
The command is steadfast and committed to reducing elements of criminalities rampaging the socio-economic welfare of the state. Proactive structures are established to efficiently manage these activities of unlawful manufacturing, sales, and distribution of adulterated products.
He disclosed that a total of 550 bags of the suspected adulterated fertilizer were recovered during the operation. According to the command, preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect allegedly claimed ownership of the fertilizer products and identified two accomplices, Alhaji Sabo Yusuf and Abdurrahman Ibrahim, who are currently at large. The command further alleged that the suspects were involved in the illegal manufacturing and false labeling of the fertilizer products while impersonating Aliuma fertilizer, popularly known as Nagari.
In view of the brief parade, following the adequate completion, findings, and investigation, the State Command, as directed by Commandant Sani Mustafa, shall arraign the suspect before a competent court of law.
The NSCDC warned that it has zero tolerance for criminality, impersonation, fraud, and economic sabotage, stressing that anyone found culpable will be prosecuted in accordance with the law.
We don't come again from Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. As soon as just they finish your exam now. Now this kind of time people go run, kitty kitty kata kata. Come tell una say they fit run and for una. Make una not give anybody una money. Ha! They go use the money go buy Christmas clothes for this Christmas now. Make you look anybody when he take and anybody when he give. Now the same way they go catch them all. Moreover, as I don't talk on before, no wuru wuru, no mago mago. This whole process be like white paper, make you shine your eyes.
As the National PRO of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, I receive various calls on this ongoing recruitment exercise, most especially on job racketeering. And as you can see, the process is free, fair, and transparent. The CDC FIB are working tirelessly, making sure that you are part of us pretty soon. While the syndicates are out with a wicked game, using a good name to put us in deep shape. Don't buy the slot. Don't pay the fee. The NSCDC job is strictly free. And remember, when you say something,
you say something.
And we will do something.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has cracked down illegal immigrant camps, arresting 4 suspected inter-border criminals linked to a fraudulent network marketing scheme and human trafficking in Lagos. The commandant of the service in Lagos, Adedotun Keshinru, says the suspects operating camps within Badagry Division are 3 Togolese and 1 Beninois, while 17 victims were rescued.
Suspected inter-border criminals arrested by the Lagos State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps for various crimes, including operating an illegal immigrant camp and being connected to fraudulent network marketing schemes and human trafficking in the Badagry Division. These 17 victims were rescued from 4 different camps with exhibits, including laptops, files, QNet letterhead papers, phones, and other pharmaceutical items used for their victims were recovered. The commandant of the service in Lagos, Adedotun Keshinru, was represented, says the operation underscores the command's determination in combating inter-border and trans-border crimes through intelligence-led operations and specialized unit deployments.
These suspects involve themselves largely in human trafficking, internet network marketing scheme, extortion, sabotage, and restriction of the movements of their victims, as well as unlawful detention of their victims.
He is urging residents to support the service by providing timely and credible information to aid crime prevention and detection. The commandant adds that stronger collaboration between residents and security agencies remains key to closing security gaps and reducing reliance on reactive policing.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Kwara State Command, has arrested a 21-year-old suspect, Soli Mujib, over the alleged kidnapping and murder of a 60-year-old electrical technician, Olariwaju Afolabi, in Ilorin.
State Commandant Abbas Mohammed disclosed this while briefing journalists at the command headquarters. He disclosed that the victim was declared missing after leaving home on June the 7th to inspect an electrical project and never returned. According to the NSCDC, the victim's family later received ransom demands of 2 million naira from his mobile phone and eventually paid 120,000 naira following instructions from the caller. The command says intelligence-led investigations, digital tracking and financial transaction analysis led to the arrest of the suspect, who reportedly confessed to the crime during interrogation. The suspect allegedly admitted luring the victim to an uncompleted building in Kangile area of Ilorin, where he killed him before using his phone and SIM card to demand ransom from family members. NSCDC says the suspect later led operatives to a shallow grave believed to contain the victim's remains, while investigations continue ahead of his transfer to the appropriate security agencies for further action. The family of the deceased are demanding justice.
He attacked and killed the victim, took possession of his phone and SIM card, and subsequently used the victim's phone to demand ransom from the family. In the course of the investigation, the suspect led the operatives to the scene of the incident at Kongile, Kulende area, Ilorin, where a shallow grave suspected to contain the victim's remains was discovered. The victim's mobile phone and SIM card were also recovered. The case is still under investigation, and upon conclusion of preliminary findings, it will be transferred to the appropriate security agency for further investigation and prosecution.
It's true.
What led you into that?
Money.
Money?
Yes.
So you made like how many million are you looking for?
2 million.
2 million naira.
Who advised you to do this?
No, sir.
Nobody?
Yes, sir. I want justice for my dad, sir. He has been working with my dad for just a few months now, according to what I know. And if he needs food to eat or anything, my dad provides for him and do all sorts of things like that.
Security is the collective responsibility of every citizen. No service has a monopoly of any strategy. Now that the 3 C's are conspicuously noticed among security agencies: collaboration, cooperation, and coordination, I'd like to enjoin all security agencies to strengthen this collaboration so that together we can provide safety and security for Nigerians and for Nigeria. My name is Professor Ahmadu Bello, OFR MNI, Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Please keep watching the defenders.
My name is Olatunji Disu. I'm the Inspector General of Police. I'm here today to cement the relationship between us and the civil defense. The people are the bosses. Keep on watching the defenders.
In all the 30 states of the Federation, we have a command, being headed by a commander. And in all the 740 local governments, we have a division, being headed by a divisional officer. And in 80% of all the divisions, we have a household. Why? Because we're bringing security down to the grassroots level. If you notice anything strange in your local area, endeavor to walk into any of these divisions or commands. This is what we're drawing the curtain on this week's edition of the program. After the means of our day after life. When you see something, please say something. Bye for now.
The number of children dying before their 5th birthday has hit a record low, according to new United Nations estimates. And Malawi is among countries highlighted in a UN report released on Wednesday for making significant reductions in child deaths. It, alongside Cambodia, Rwanda and Mongolia, have all been credited with a more than 75% drop in under-5 mortality since 2000. In the Malawian town of Namitete earlier this year, parents like Secret Gibson were queuing up to get their children vaccinated against malaria, under a new program being rolled out in countries across the continent.
When a child receives the vaccine like this, it means as he grows, he will be a healthy and strong person. But also, as he attains maturity, it's like you have already laid a good foundation for him. Because if you don't take him for the vaccine, the clinic has reservations to treat a child who did not take the jab.
Preventable and treatable causes such as pneumonia, diarrhea and malaria made up the majority of the 4.9 million under-5 deaths in 2022. While that's a halving of the mortality rate since 2000, it also still represents one death every 6 seconds. And the UN warned that the world is behind in its goals for reducing preventable deaths by 2030, with progress slowing since 2015. Overall, deaths of babies and children under 5 in 2022 were concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa. It represented 57% of the global total, despite only accounting for around 30% of the live births that year. The UN said better access to primary healthcare and community health workers could vastly improve the outlook. But it also warned that climate change, increasing inequity, conflict, and the long-term fallout from the global health crisis could all threaten progress.
Welcome once again to The Sage. As usual, as always, thank you for being with us. Without you, our journey would be a lonely one indeed. A few weeks ago, we took you back to a promise we had made, which was to keep you abreast of the progress of our Global Entrepreneurship Program through the year. And so within the past 3 to 4 weeks, we have taken you through the many things we have indeed already achieved this year. We've selected a new batch of entrepreneurs. We've put in place a strong team of facilitators, we've indeed conducted, using these skilled facilitators, the first capacity building workshop. It's been a lot of work, but we're so proud of our achievements. But now, back to the business at hand. A few weeks ago, we started a series which is in the spirit of Conversations for Change, in which we accept the fact that as a people, as a country, we have difficulties, we have problems. And perhaps now more than ever before in the history of this country, we have difficult economic situation facing our country. Millions and millions of Nigerians are even unable to put food on their table. But we don't just fold our hands and decry our faith and wait to die. As a philosophy, we in C4C believe that there's always something that we can do to make things better. We believe in action. We believe in creating the change we need. Indeed, the motto of the organization. And so we started a series that we termed Living Out Our Hope for a Compassionate Nigeria. A Nigeria peopled by compassionate people. Because we felt that in the long run, that the answer for Nigeria, and indeed for the world, is that if we as human beings learned to be a bit more compassionate to one another, to do what we can to extend a hand of fellowship, to share the little we have or we don't have, that things are bound to be better. That is the law of the divine creator. That is what makes a better world. And in line with that, we started a series of while waiting for our leaders and our government to enact and implement the economic policies which would make things better, that the majority of us who constitutes the common people of this country can do something. We can begin to live out that hope for a better Nigeria by reaching out to one another. In an earlier show, we elaborated the many areas in which this can be done. We have dealt to some extent with the issue of health care, but generally the health of the people, and recognized the fact that we all have a role to play. But today, in this particular episode, we delve into another area, the issue of entrepreneurship, the issue of successful enterprises, which would really, truly contribute to the welfare, to the economic growth, to the progress of our country. We are going to spend some time in dealing with this. Why? Because it is indeed a truly important topic. But also because we in C4C have a passion, as you already know, for this area. That is why we do the Global Entrepreneurship Program, which we have run for 7 years. That is why we are proud to say today that over 100 young people have gone through our program, and that so many of them are benefiting immensely from the training, the support, the empowerment they receive and continue to receive from us. And so, yes, but something that is also very clear is that enterprises, entrepreneurship, businesses are something we can all do. It is something, it is us, the people, that do. But particularly the issue, the concept of medium and small scale enterprises. While perhaps only a few lucky, gifted people can have mega companies, mega corporations, mega businesses, the vast majority of us ordinary people are the ones responsible for medium and small scale enterprises. These enterprises are crucial to a country's economy for many reasons. They seem totally obvious to us, but perhaps bear with me as I go into some of them. Why are they important? SMEs, a term I'm using for medium and small scale enterprises, do many things for a country, for an economy. One is job creation. SMEs provide employment to a large proportion of our workforce. It is not the mega corporations that provide employment. No. If unemployment is reducing in any country, anywhere in the world, it is often as a result of the success of their MSMEs. They are the ones that create jobs. They provide both skilled and unskilled labor. They reduce unemployment and they reduce poverty. Yes, so unemployment, poverty. But they are also very largely responsible for our economic growth. These businesses contribute significantly to GDP of any country by producing goods and services, fostering innovation, and supporting industrialization. They are the bedrock of many of these things. A country that has successful SMEs are on their way to a strong economic growth. Innovation and entrepreneurship. It is the SMEs that are positioned and poised to bring innovation to entrepreneurship. Small businesses often drive innovation. Why? They're more flexible and therefore more willing and able to take risks, to change practices, to utilize new opportunities, to create new products and services, and in this, to change their business models. They are the ones more ready to be competitive. And for us in C4C, we're passionate about this because we believe that these concepts of innovation, flexibility, change are best done and exhibited by young people, and therefore by young entrepreneurs. SMEs support income distribution in our country. They help distribute wealth and more evenly across a country. They are everywhere. They're in the urban areas, they're in the rural areas, they're in semi-urban areas. Yes. And so as they earn and support themselves and their families and their communities, they are distributing income, they are reducing income inequality. SMEs are important for supply chain development. What do I mean by this? They serve as suppliers and service providers for the larger industries. It is the smaller SMEs who may be producing whatever you want, be it clothes, be it shoes, be it whatever, who produce enough to supply our shops, our big industries. They produce the materials with which the bigger industries function. And so yes, they strengthen the overall business ecosystem. SMEs are important for export and foreign exchange earnings. These many of them, as they are able to export the things we produce in this country, contribute to our need for foreign exchange in supporting the needs of our country. They help our country earn foreign exchange and improve trade balance nationally and globally. SMEs are important for what we call regional development, and therefore we must encourage their economic activities in all areas of the countries. They're everywhere. They're numerous. No matter how rural, no matter how urban, SMEs have the capacity and potential to be everywhere in the country, reducing pressure on major cities and promoting balanced development. Resilience in economic crises. Unlike large corporations, which can be slow to adapt, as we had said before, SMEs can move quickly. They can take on economic challenges, making them vital for economic stability. And our situation today in Nigeria typifies that. Within the past year, as we witnessed unprecedented economic inflation, we in C4C, because we're in contact with many SMEs, have watched many of them adapt. There are numerous examples which we will bring to you. Some have looked at innovative ways, looked at perhaps the equipment they have, and found other ways to use that equipment to deal with the fact that perhaps the line they're in is no longer productive and profitable because of the inflation. We're looking forward to bringing you many examples of it. They are flexible, they are adaptable, they are quick and ready to respond. They are young and strong and optimistic. There are many more benefits I could go into. But because I think by now it is obvious to all of us that there's a great need to support entrepreneurs, to support small and medium scale enterprises, to support young people in particular, to be young entrepreneurs, to strengthen our economy, to provide employment, to feed themselves productively and positively, and not get into crimes and other things which desperation too often drives them to. But we can only end this by underscoring the fact that they cannot exist in isolation. They need to be supported. Governments and leadership need to provide a supportive policy and program environment that would enable SMEs to thrive. They must provide regulatory frameworks to ensure their sustainability and their growth. Leadership must have an eye on the urgent needs this group represents, and must do everything possible to enable them to thrive, for when they thrive, our country thrives. I hope we have made the case. And in the next few episodes, we will bring into the studio concrete examples of what we mean. We will bring to you various SMEs, various entrepreneurs, various key players in this area, and of course many young entrepreneurs, which is our particular passion, to discuss, to tell you that it is a living reality. It is not a wishful dream. Many of them are doing it. Many more of them can do it. Many more of you, our viewers, can join in this effort. To the many young people out there who watch us, who listen to us, who are our viewers and partners, you can do it. Sometimes, as the CEO for C4C, I feel so sad, because what I would like to do is to take on 1 million young people and provide them the support we know how to do, so that they can indeed be successful entrepreneurs. And yet we can work towards this. And in doing this, I call on organizations and other partners watching and listening to come join this effort. We in C4C have the experience, and we're willing to replicate, to share experience, to do what needs to be done, so that as many young people as possible benefit, and so that as many small and medium scale enterprises come into being in a sustained and profitable manner. So having said that, let me assure you that next week, in the next episode, we already have lined up for you a very, very exciting example of what we mean. We will be bringing to you 2 remarkable young women who have made their mark and who are beautiful examples of what we mean in terms of support to small and medium scale enterprises, in terms of support to ensuring that entrepreneurship lives and breathes and is a priority in this country. And so make sure you don't miss the next episode. Our guests are already lined up. They have a lot of wonderful things to share. And so join us next episode as we begin the guest interviews. Thank you so much once again for always being with us. The next few series, wow, are exciting and well worth the time. Let us make medium and small scale enterprises a strong pillar of our national development. I thank you. See you next episode.
I can't tint my hair because in our society, when you tint your hair, it gives another meaning, as if you are not responsible.
No, I can't tint my hair. Reason being the fact that my family, they won't agree to it.
I can. I don't care. Their opinion, not mine, as long as I like it.
For me, it doesn't make sense. Tinting of hair, just leave the hair the way it is, black, brown.
Like the red-headed gamma lizard, also known as rainbow lizard, human hairs often come in different colors as a result of hair dyeing, which is becoming a common practice among adults and teenagers in Nigeria. To individuals tinting or dyeing their hair, there is really no difference between changing the color of their hair and dyeing a fabric. It could be for aesthetics, to have a new look, or as a result of one's line of trade or profession.
I'm an artist. Personally, I don't see it as anything because most times you don't judge a book by its cover. So for me, for a kind of person like me, I feel if it's something that makes you happy, just do it.
A barber, Yusuf Ibrahim, goes as far as testing the dyes first without considering its effect.
I have to test it before I apply it to any customer, because this thing we are doing is something that when I apply it, it's easily to break hair. So when it's breaking, I don't want maybe disagreement between me and my customer.
Hair dyes come in 3 major varieties: permanent, semi-permanent or temporary, and natural. Chemicals used in these products, particularly the permanent dyes, could lead to grave health consequences, according to a hair restoration specialist, Dr. Dayo Otubanjo.
Dyes, by their nature, have chemicals. I mean, that's why they're able to change the natural color of someone's hair. Those chemicals could include ammonia, perhaps one of the more common ones. There are other more dangerous chemicals. Ammonia is a very corrosive chemical, and if not used properly by people who are trained, they could cause damage, and the damage could be permanent. So the advice we would normally give people is, look, better to go to a salon with qualified personnel, people who understand the implications or the side effects and of some of the products they are applying to your scalp. If you don't use it according to what the manufacturers intended, there could be hair loss and damage. So those are the kind of things that we would typically advise people to watch out for. I mean, these products, it's not just hair loss. There are other wider health issues involved as well. I mean, some of these products have been known to cause bladder cancer of the bladder. So this is quite serious. It's not just about how you look anymore. It's about life and death.
When next you are dyeing your hair, you might want to take a second look at the ingredients used to ensure they are safe.
I see the writing of this one. They write the color.
It's also white. How come? Do they all come in white?
No, it's not most of them comes in white.
Okay, so is this white?
This one is crazy color. It's also right there.
It's crazy color. Something white. Not pop white. The color is purple. Actually.
It's not
like lavender or something.
Yes.
But it's
so sharpen maybe something, maybe wine, something wine.
You sure don't want to put your life in danger?
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, AIT_live, and AIT Livestream 1 on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Oshorena Obozege, you're welcome. We'll start from the central bank this afternoon, where the CBN has directed all banks and other financial institutions to immediately freeze the accounts and assets of 6 individuals and 4 bureau de change operators alleged to have financed terrorism. According to a CBN circular, the directive follows an update to the Nigeria sanctions list on June 18, 2026, after sanctions imposed by the Nigeria Sanctions Committee and the United States Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control. The Apex Bank ordered financial institutions to identify and freeze without prior notice all funds, assets, and economic resources belonging to the designated individuals and entities, including businesses they directly or indirectly control. It also prohibited the provision of financial services or economic resources to those listed. The CBN further directed banks to file suspicious transactions report with the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and submit compliance report to the regulator within 48 hours. Institutions are also required to strengthen monitoring of transactions they may indicate terrorism financing, including the use of bureau de change operators and informal money transfer channels. The bank warned that failure to comply with the directive or the submission of false or misleading report would attract regulatory sanctions under the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act and other applicable laws as authorities intensify effort to disrupt the financing of terrorism. The 16th Emir of Kano State, Mohammed Sanusi II, has questioned the push for the ECOWAS single currency, saying West Africa should prioritize addressing its political and economic challenges before fixing deadlines for monetary integration. Sanusi, a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, spoke at a public lecture on the proposed eco-currency organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, in Abuja.
Speaking on the theme, eco-currency and monetary integration in West Africa, application for Nigeria, Sanusi said the region should focus on readiness rather than repeatedly announcing target dates for the ECO. He warned that the single currency project could lose credibility if member states fail to address the structural and political conditions needed for its success.
You cannot talk about, I keep coming to Niger, Burkina, and Mali. You cannot be talking about common currency with Niger, Burkina, and Mali when you are threatening them with force in the internal matters. You cannot. They will not even listen to you. Okay? You cannot talk about shared institutions, not about integration when the politics is not right. Politics is so dominant in world affairs. And if we don't understand that, if we don't manage the politics well, the economics can never work.
Here today is to move beyond abstract theory and engage with the practical realities of how a common currency might influence regional economic stability, and crucially, how it aligns with Nigerian domestic economic and development agenda.
Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, represented at the event, said the ECO should be assessed not only by its ability to integrate economies, but also by the value it delivers to citizens and businesses.
Monetary integration will be most useful when it supports that broader productive integration. A common currency may reduce conversion costs and exchange rate uncertainty, but it cannot substitute for competitive industries, efficient logistics, credible institutions, or disciplined macroeconomic management.
We must also be candid. Currency unification is not without challenges. It requires fiscal discipline, convergence of macroeconomic policies, and strong institutions to manage monetary policy across diverse economies. We must guard against risk of instability, inflationary pressures, and uneven benefits among member states.
Sanusi identified low levels of intra-African and intra-ECOWAS trade as major challenge to regional integration. He said Africa is becoming more fragmented even as other regions deepen economic cooperation. The former CBN governor called for the removal of trade barriers, stronger cross-border commerce, and institutional reform needed to support a successful monetary union. Landry Babalola, AIT News, Abuja.
A disconnect between savings, investment, and economic growth in Nigeria has been linked to poor implementation of policies and programs of government responsible for attracting foreign investors to effectively boost economic development across the country. A professor of business administration, finance, and capital market, Abdul Adamu, says it is a cause for concern about the trend of growth in investment and domestic savings in Nigeria.
Of Nasarawa State University, KEFI, as the management advised policymakers to take advantage of research work to stimulate economic development in Nigeria.
At Nasarawa State University, we have gone beyond dumping our researches in the libraries or wherever. It doesn't happen here. When we research in Nasarawa State University, we deliver it to the world. We make sure that the right people that need to research get it.
A professor of business administration, finance and capital market, Abdul Adamu, insists that Nigeria, as a developing nation, needs adequate savings to encourage investment and promote economic growth, hence the need for a favorable environment for investors.
When you talk about saving and investment, especially that we are talking about digitally enabled saving, a lot of people have to have confidence in the process. So you see, when you save and somebody can crack the digital technology where you are saving on and take away your money, nobody will have confidence in the saving. So we are saying that they should provide an avenue for people, savings and investment to be protected.
The 62nd inaugural lecture of Nasarawa State University, KEFI, has the theme, Reimagining Nigerians' Finance Influx, the Savings, first investment paradigm. Dimas Nanzung, AIT News, Abuja.
The federal government has launched an employee self-service portal as part of activities marking the 2026 Civil Service Week, in a move aimed at accelerating digital transformation across the public service. Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Wilson-Jack, says the platform is designed to eliminate administrative bottlenecks and improve service delivery in line with the demands of a rapidly changing world. The employee self-service portal is expected to simplify and automate key processes, including payroll management, staff profile update, and official requests, a major step in the ongoing digital reform agenda of the Federal Civil Service.
The employee self-service portal is expected to simplify and automate key processes, including payroll management, staff profile updates, and official requests, a major step in the ongoing digital reform agenda of the Federal Civil Service.
Most civil servants don't even get to see their employee records, which is locked up in files until maybe they want to retire. But now this app allows them to even have that information handy. Also getting access to their payslip, applying for leave that has an improved workflow process.
This year's Civil Service Week is focused on mentoring and networking as critical tools for improving public service performance.
Where, for example, is the institutionalized mentorship-rooted learning infrastructure in the federal service that enables hand-holding, performance consulting, and skills transfers between officers across grade levels.
According to Didi Wilson-Jack, mentoring is not optional but a responsibility that helps build a stronger and more effective workforce.
So mentoring changes trajectories. It speaks the truth that performance appraisals cannot. It sees the human being behind the officer, and it says to that officer, you are worth investing in.
The week-long event brings together experienced professionals across various levels of the service to promote knowledge sharing and strengthen capacity in key areas of public administration. Kedanojo Okoliko, AIT News, Abuja.
River State House of Assembly is eager to consider Governor Sim Fubara's request for the approval of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, for the 2026-2028 for the state. The passage of this document is a prerequisite for the formal presentation of the 2026 budget. This MTEF carries added significance, coming after years of prolonged disagreement between the executive and legislative arms of government regarding the state's budget process.
Rivers State Governor Simnalai Fubara on Thursday visited the scene of the collapsed 5-story building along Peter Odili Road in Port Harcourt to assess the situation and receive first-hand reports on ongoing rescue operations. The 5-story building under construction collapsed on Wednesday at about 10 a.m. local time, causing panic among residents and commuters. Several persons were said to have been trapped under the rubble. While a few have been rescued, some persons remain unaccounted for. The sad incident occurred just 2 days after a 3-story building collapsed in Rumolumani community in Obiakbo local government area. Governor Fubara described the incident as unfortunate and blamed it on the incompetence and lack of cooperation from the developer.
The commissioner also informed me that they came here severally to inspect what is happening and also to see the level of compliance. But unfortunately, that the developer keep claiming that we don't have any rights to interfere. But the issue is not about interfering, it's about the life that is being lost today. So we feel very sorry and very regrettable that such an incident should be happening in this 21st century.
While sympathizing with the victims and all those affected by the incident, the governor assured that the state government will leave no stone unturned in determining the immediate and remote causes of the building collapse.
What kind of engineer would even allow this kind of project to go on when everything about it from inception has been faulty? At this point, nothing is going to happen on this site anymore. we're going to make sure that this place is completely sealed off.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara used the occasion to assure that the safety of lives and property remains a top priority of his administration. Dagbo Biakame, AIT News, Port Harcourt.
And barely 24 hours after a 5-story building collapsed in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, another building disaster struck on Thursday as a 3-story structure carved in the Alakija area of Lagos State. Not less than 26 persons have been rescued alive, while 8 fatalities have been recorded, including a baby girl. The building collapsed on Thursday morning, triggering an emergency response by security operatives and residents. There are reports that additional persons, including shop owners who had resumed business, may still be trapped. Search and rescue operations remain active. A multi-agency rescue operation is ongoing, with responders working systematically to search for and extricate anyone trapped beneath the rubble. Heavy-duty equipment, including an excavator, is being deployed to support rescue effort. Reports say police officers from the Area E Command and Satellite Division reportedly arrived at the scene shortly after the incident and joined local residents in effort to rescue those trapped. The cause of the incident was also unknown at the time. And contrary to the earlier claim that the recent Mabushi market explosion was caused by an improvised explosive device, IED, recent findings after a thorough investigation by the Explosive Ordnance Department, EOD, an arm of the Nigeria Police Force, has proved otherwise. According to the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Fatai Tijani, when he interacted with journalists at the State Police Command, Ikeja, revealed that Monday's explosion in Mabushi was not caused by an improvised explosive device, IED, rather an underlying mechanical fault from the packed Sienna that led to an explosion. He said that preliminary observations at the scene of the blast had raised concerns about a possible IED explosion, prompting the police to activate standard security protocols and deployed experts from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal and Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear EOD CBRN unit.
Established that the incident was not caused by an improvised explosive device, IED. Terrorist activities, sabotage, or any form of criminal use of explosive. Our technical findings reveal no traces of explosive materials, detonators, initiation system, explosive residues, or blast characteristics ordinarily associated with explosive attack. Furthermore, the affected vehicle did not exhibit structural deformation, fragmentation patterns, crater effects, or displacement typically observed in incidents involving explosives.
Explained that the affected vehicle did not exhibit the structural deformation, fragmentation patterns, or other indicators commonly associated with explosive incident. He urged members of the public to remain vigilant and continue reporting suspicious activities while assuring them that all reported incidents would continue to receive adequate attention. At least 3 people are confirmed to have lost their lives in multiple accidents involving 3 vehicles at the Ezilo axis of the ever-busy Abakaliki-Enugu highway. Several other passengers are reported to have sustained severe injuries but were rushed to nearby medical facilities by early respondents in a rescue operation. Eyewitnesses told AIT that the incident was a head-on collision of the vehicles collided on the Ezilo Bridge, forcing a fully passenger-loaded Sienna vehicle heading from Abakaliki to Enugu plunged in the river. Locals decried the deadly nature of the road ongoing reconstruction, describing the bridge as a death trap. They are calling on government to expedite construction work on the dual carriageway road, appealing to the contractors handling the road project to, as a matter of urgency, do remedial works on the approaching end of the bridge to avoid further carnage. Following outrage over a viral video where graduating secondary school students, boys and girls, went wild in celebration, the Ondo State government has ordered the immediate withholding of the West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination results and testimonials of 17 of the students for their involvement in the disorderly conduct during the completion of their final examination. The penalty disclosed by the State Ministry of Education in a statement also said the viral video that surfaced on social media platforms TikTok and Facebook showed students from 3 prominent schools in the state capital engaging in what the government described as indisciplined behavior. According to the ministry, the affected students were captured tearing their school uniforms and chanting strange slogans upon completing their final examination paper, with the actions described as a violation of the core values of the state's educational system. The culprits have been identified as students of Oyemekun Grammar School, Aquinas Secondary School, and CAC Grammar School, all located in Akure, the Ondo State capital. AIT gathered that during an emergency meeting convened with school administrators and government officials, the ministry disclosed that the names of the 17 identified students would be entered into the black book of their respective schools as part of the disciplinary measures. 6 hospitals and patent drug stores were closed down by Rivers State government in Port Harcourt over alleged child trafficking and unwholesome practice. 7 suspects were apprehended in the process. The chairman of the anti-quackery and the permanent secretary, Rivers State Ministry of Health, Vincent Wachuku, disclosed this at a news briefing in Port Harcourt.
Eldona Hospital in Elekahia is among the latest facilities sealed. The hospital allegedly operated under the guise of our medical facilities, but has been linked to child trafficking. The chairman of the Anti-Quackery Committee and the permanent secretary at the Rivers State Ministry of Health, Dr. Vincent Wachuku, said some of the affected facilities visited were marred by non-medical personnel who administer wrong prescription to patients that led to the death of a 20-year-old girl in Indele, Emoha local government area of Rivers State.
Because part of what we gathered from investigation carried out so far is that this woman is involved in child trafficking. Women go there to deliver. She has 10 babies that she will exchange and tell the woman, oh, maybe if you didn't have a baby cry, we'll tell them, oh, your baby died, and then we'll show them the dead baby.
Authorities said the ministry would continue to work with the security agencies and other stakeholders to rid the state of quackery in the health sector. Wachuku also advised registered hospitals to display a copy of their annual renewed license at the reception. This is said would help patients differentiate between genuine and unregistered facilities.
So we remain committed to the mandate to sanitize the River State healthcare system to ensure that investment of the River State government in the health sector gets its desired impact.
The sealed facilities include Floriv Hospital located in Omoku, Good Shepherd Hospital also in Onega, Blessed Good News Clinic, among others. Egogon Akabue, AIT News, Port Harcourt.
Key players in the fight against dementia are advocating increased awareness, culturally grounded research, and lifestyle interventions to tackle the growing burden of this ailment across the continent. They spoke at an event in Abuja where they warned that Africa must act now to prevent our looming public health crisis.
Dementia, a condition that affects memory, thinking, behavior, and the ability to perform everyday activities, is emerging as one of the world's fastest growing health challenges. Contrary to common belief, Dementia is not exclusively a disease of old age. Experts emphasize that awareness must begin at the grassroots.
There's a huge need for us to start to destigmatize dementia. If we understand that dementia is really just a disease like any other that can be managed, that can be treated, then we're less likely to treat people, for instance, like they're witches or they have a spiritual issue when they have an actual organic biological problem.
Health experts are calling for stronger collaboration among government, healthcare institutions, and community leaders to drive evidence-based interventions while proposing the development of a strategic plan.
We must have a national strategy that will highlight everything we need to do and the responsibilities of all stakeholders towards tackling dementia. And that's the call we are making in this engagement we have today.
We are first and foremost looking for creating awareness across the stakeholder board. And number two is about government to understand the necessity to develop a dementia strategic plan.
As Africa's population continues to grow and age, stakeholders say investing in research, awareness, and brain health today could protect millions of people from the devastating impacts of dementia. Unekwajo Atta, AIT News, Abuja.
We are still watching AIT Reports. We'll take a short break and return for more stories.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Welcome back to more stories now. A new survey by the Africa Polling Institute has revealed that Nigerians place greater trust in religious and traditional leaders than in government institutions, prompting renewed calls for stronger collaboration between faith-based and traditional authorities in promoting national unity, peace, and social cohesion. The findings were unveiled at the National Social Cohesion Dialogue 2026 held in Abuja.
Although the National Social Cohesion Index remains slightly below the 50% benchmark, the latest survey recorded a 2 percentage point increase, rising from 46.8% in 2025 to 48.8% in 2026. According to the Africa Polling Institute, the improvements reflect the resilience of Nigerians and their continued commitment to peaceful coexistence despite prevailing economic and social pressures.
These shifts represent an important milestone in the country's nation-building journey and points to the strengthening sense of shared national identity. However, citizens' trust in government and public institutions remain extremely low.
The establishment of a peaceful Nigeria cannot be realized solely through institutional policies. It must be built upon the foundations of interpersonal relationships and the exemplary conduct of leaders.
Delivering his opening remarks, the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, said the high level of public trust enjoyed by traditional and religious institutions places a significant responsibility on their leaders to serve as agents of hope, justice, reconciliation, and community stability.
Building a socially cohesive nation requires deliberate efforts and partnership among government institutions, traditional rulers, religious leaders, civil society organizations, the private sector, and citizens themselves.
Communication and transportation have also merged our divided world into one. We ought to leverage on these advancements to promote social cohesion in our nation.
Stakeholders at the dialogue stressed that strengthening the role of traditional and religious institutions remains essential to building public trust, resolving conflicts, and deepening national integration, especially at the grassroots level. Oyebimpe Wealth, AIT News, Abuja.
Ahead of the August 15 governorship election, the Osun State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Gotan, has called on political parties, their candidate and resident of the state to refrain from making inflammatory statements capable of causing public unrest. The peace rally organized by the police brought together representatives of political parties, civil society organizations, media practitioners, students, and other stakeholders to promote peaceful conduct during the electionary period.
Recent incidents of violence in some part of the state, which have resulted in the loss of lives, appear to have created an atmosphere of fear and apprehension among residents. At this stakeholders meeting convened by the Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Gonta, politicians were warned against overeating the body politic and they were urged to play by the rules.
Political leaders should caution their supporters against acts capable of disrupting public peace and should refrain from providing support, encouragement, or protection to individuals who engage in criminal conduct.
So any act capable of disrupting the peaceful conduct of election will not only undermine our democracy, but also have far-reaching consequences on the lives, livelihood, and development of our people. Let's therefore work together to protect the sanctity of the electoral process and ensure that the will of the people prevails.
Meanwhile, an election observer, Kimpart Development Foundation Initiative, says it has documented 44 election-related violence, with 13 recorded fatality from October last year till June 2026.
The life of Osun State citizens matter. The credibility of the election matters too. The peace of communities matters. The future of democracy in Nigeria depends not only on election day procedures, but also on whether citizens can approach the ballot without fear.
The recent incident of violence, which unfortunately resulted in the loss of lives, have created an atmosphere of apprehension among citizens and stakeholders. Olatunde Olajide, AIT News, Osogbo.
Troops of Sector 9 Operation Enduring Peace have rescued 8 kidnapped victims during a military operation in Pandam Forest, Kwahan Pan local government area of Plateau State. The operation followed credible intelligence on the activities of suspected kidnappers in the area. Troops of Operation Enduring Peace carried out the operation in the early hours of Wednesday, June 24th at Pandam Forest in Kwahan Pan local government area. According to the military, the troops acted on credible intelligence indicating the presence of suspected kidnappers in the forest. The operation resulted in a gun battle as the suspect opened fire while attempting to escape. During the exchange, 3 kidnapped victims managed to flee from their captors. A subsequent search of the forest by the troops led to the rescue of 5 more victims, bringing the total number rescued to 8. The military says all the victims are safe and efforts are ongoing to reunite them with their families. Operation Enduring Peace says troops are continuing to pursue the fleeing suspect, while residents have pledged to provide more intelligence to support security operations. The Joint Task Force commended the cooperation of the local community and appealed for sustained public support to help security agencies combat kidnapping and other criminal activities across the area. Activities of the Ondo State Security Network Agency could name
by the indefatigable, courageous, and unassuming Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Kashim Shettima, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Our dear distinguished senators, particularly Senator Osita Jinaso and Senator Olaka Wogu, members of the House of Representatives that are here, the Honorable Minister of the FCT State, heads of political parties that are here,
the Managing Director and staff of the Central Coal Nigeria Limited, Acting Head of Service, Chief of Staff, and Mandate Secretaries and Permanent Secretaries of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, the Acting Executive Secretary of the ESFCDA, traditional rulers, our dear youth and residents of Mabushi. Let me particularly greet our friends who in their own days made Nigeria proud, Joseph Yobo and Emmanuel Babayaro. And I want to announce to this audience that Joseph Yobo told me yesterday that they have communicated our message to the Super Eagles, and they have told him that this will be the last time such mistake will occur. There are subsequent World Cup matches that Nigeria will be there. So their sins have been forgiven. Yesterday, Mr. President, let me join the Honorable Minister of FCT State to again thank you and appreciate you and welcome you to the 13th day of our commissioning of projects in your third year anniversary. We do not take for granted you are participating in this 31 days that we set out to rejoice and celebrate with our people on what your administration has been able to do as far as the FCT is concerned, be it in the city center or in the satellite towns. Sincerely, we welcome you to this 13-day commissioning of projects. Your Excellency, it is your directive that every district in Abuja must be touched. Every district must feel the impact of your administration. We are to Katambe. Yesterday, we commissioned the interchange linking Jahi to Guarimpa. Like the director of ceremony has said, that Guarimpa, of course, is the largest, not just in Nigeria, but in entire West Africa. The entire Guarimpa is bigger than so many estates in Africa. So yesterday, the president commissioned the interchange linking Jahi to Guarimpa. And I believe within the 31 days, we must have touched virtually all the districts in the Federal Capital Territory. Like you have also directed, and we have also been doing, I do know that on Monday 29th, that you will be in Kauru to commission the roads in satellite town. But I have said, let them remove Kauru of satellite town. Kauru is in the city. I don't know why we should continue talking about Kauru in the satellite town. I believe that Kauru should be in the city. I want to sincerely thank you for the support you have given to us. Everybody is saying that things are happening in the FCT. It is because of you. It is because of your leadership. When you have a courageous leadership, when you have an assertive leadership, when you have leadership that is focused and determined to achieve results, the subordinates do not have any other choice. We have no choice but to do what you've directed us to do, because all the logistics have been given to us. I want to sincerely thank you for standing by us. We have not complained, because we know each time we run to you for any request, you have always granted to us. So without you, it would have been difficult. It would have been difficult for districts. It would have been difficult for Emmanuel Babayaro, who said he lived just behind here, to attend this ceremony today. I'm sure he's very happy. And look at this road. Look at the houses. But for this road, these houses wouldn't have come up. I'm sure the contractor is rushing, and I'm sure people have been coming to ask, is it for rent or is it for sale? Why? The road has passed. And that is why I have told everybody that road is the bedrock of any development. And that's why I was questioning some people who are saying that we're not going to chop road alone. See what road can do. Road has brought about infrastructure. Houses are going up. The effect in real estate. But if people who had opportunity had allowed the road to be constructed to Makurdi, probably, the real estate would have developed in the Makurdi. But they refused anything to go up rather than to use helicopter to fly to their various. But I thank God, sir, you have made it possible. They no longer fly with helicopter. They now drive by road to their various areas. That is the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima. Well, thank you very much. Your Excellency, before the end of the 31st day, I will compile the list of leadership, whichever faction they may belong. All the opposition parties, no, not all the opposition. The real opposition will leave them. The fake opposition, I will compile lists of their chairmen and secretaries, wherever they are living here, and I will show them all the roads we have done for them to get to their houses. On that note, I invite you to commission this to the glory of God.
Kindly take your seats, please. The Senator representing Imo West Senatorial District and Chairman Senate Committee on Capital Markets and Institutions, Senator Osita Izunaso OFR. The Senator representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Senator Olaka Nwogu. Other members of the National Assembly present, serving and non-serving, especially Senators Phillips Tanimu Aduda, Senator Mao Ohabunwa, Senator Usman Jibrin Wowo, and Senator Isa Maina. Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Ezenwawike, CON, the Honorable Minister of State of the Federal Capital Territory, Dr. Maria Mahmoud Bunkure, APC National Publicity Secretary, Barrister Felix Moka, FCT Coordinator for the Renewed Hope, Honorable Abdullahi Adamu Candido, and I wish to weaponize the Acting Executive Secretary of Federal Capital Development Authority, Mr. Richard Yunana Douda, to recognize and appreciate the entire management team of the FCDA and FCT. Area Council Chairman present here, the Managing Director of Setraco Nigeria Limited, Engineer Ziad Maunis, senior government officials, our football legends Joseph Boobo and Emmanuel Babayaro, members of the fourth escort of the Rim, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my utmost pleasure to be here today to commission collector roads 01 and 02 in Mabushi district of the Federal Capital Territory. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we are not just opening two roads. We are opening up Abuja. We are connecting people to opportunities and cutting hours of waste from daily life. For many years, movement in this part of the capital was a struggle. Traffic bottlenecks, needless detours, time lost that should have been spent at work, at school, or with the family. Today that changes. These collector roads create new seamless links that ease flow across Mabushi from the bus terminal and into the wider FCT. When roads connect, businesses grow. When movement is easy, productivity rises. When travel is safe, citizens are free. That is the renewed hope agenda at work. It is a fact that infrastructure is the backbone of a modern economy. Roads are not just asphalt. They are the banks of commerce, the bridges of unity, the channels through which our people pursue their dreams without fear or delay. By strengthening interconnectivity here in Mabushi district, and indeed other districts, we are strengthening the entire Federal Capital Territory. My good people of the FCT, I thank you. I thank you for your patience during construction. I know the diversions were frustrating. I know the dust was uncomfortable. But you endured because you believed in a better Abuja. And today your patience has paid off. This road belongs to you. Use them responsibly, protect them jealously. At this juncture, let me single out the Honorable Minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike CON for mention. Barrister Wike, you have continued to show what focused leadership can achieve. I gave you a simple charge: make Abuja work for all. You took it and ran with it. From satellite towns to the city center, you are turning blueprints into roads people can drive on today. Your energy, your insistence on delivery, and your refusal to accept excuses are why the FCT is transforming under this administration. Nigerians see it. I see it. Well done, Minister Wike. As an administration, our vision remains clear. A world-class capital that works for every resident, whether you live in Asokoro or Kuje, in Wuse or Gwagwalada. Interconnectivity is how we get there. One road at a time, one district at a time, until no community is left behind. To all Nigerians, I urge you to continue to support this administration. With your support, we will build more roads, create more jobs, and restore full confidence in governance. Stay with us. Renewed hope is not a slogan. It is roads like this. It is ease for the common man. On that note, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to, on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and to the glory of Almighty God, to officially commission Collector Road 01 and 02 in Mabushi district for the use of the people and for the progress of our great nation. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
His Excellency proceeds for the commissioning
for the use of the good people of the FCT and for the progress of Nigeria. It's my singular honor and privilege to cherish forever to commission the full scope development of Collector Road 01 and 02 in Mabushi district of the Federal Capital Territory on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Full scope development of Collector Road 01 and 02 in Mabushi district of the Federal Capital Territory, officially commissioned by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, today, Friday, 26th day of June, 2026.
The official commissioning by His Excellency President Tinubu, represented by His Excellency the Vice President. There is now the photo opportunity. We take the national anthem.
For the past 16 years and counting. Devastating perennial flooding have caused pains, agony and sorrow to the natives, residents and motorists who venture to pass through the about 1 kilometer submerged portion of the road. The Ogidi axis of the old Enugu-Onitsha road is a major economic and transportation corridor to Onitsha, the commercial nerve center of Anambra State. With unfulfilled promises of fixing the flood crisis by government, residents have become skeptical of a possible remedy in sight, instead resorting to self-pity as the sky opens its mouth again this rainy